David here with Fig Boot on Pens. Today I'm going to be taking a look at a very unique pen which was loaned to me by the good folks at Ingika.com. And that pen is one in the Pilot Vanishing Point Raiden series. What I'm going to do is talk about the pen and go over the Raiden finish, talk about some of the things I care for, some of the things I don't care for about it, show some measurements, some size comparisons, provide a writing sample, and then if you stay tuned, after the writing sample or during the writing sample, I have a giveaway, not of this pen, but of something else. There are three versions of the Raiden Vanishing Point pens. There's the Galaxy version, which features abalone flakes and is a little less expensive in the US than the other two, mainly because it doesn't use as much abalone as the other two versions. The second version is called the Raiden Stripe, which has the abalone kind of grouped together in stripes in the middle of the pen. Then there is the third version, the Water Stripe, which has kind of longer stripes of varying sizes of abalone. Here is the box that it arrives in. When you open up the box, it kind of has a nice little flap in the front, which is kind of cool. And it comes in this very neat wood box. Now, most boxes I don't keep. There's really not much use for them after you've taken the pen out, especially if you're storing them elsewhere. But this is one that I would not throw away. If you're not using it to store your pen, you could use it for all sorts of other things. It's a very light wood, but it's very, very sturdy. You can see here underneath the lid, it says Pilot. And then inside the box, there's a lot going on. We have a little piece of foam. Then it has the filling instructions. Then it has a proprietary Pilot cartridge that you could use with the pen. It comes with a metal cartridge cap, which we'll go over how to use, but that comes with the pen as well. And then it actually comes with a converter, one of the Con 40 converters. And during the writing sample, I'll kind of show you the difference between the Con 50 and the Con 40, but it comes with the Con 40, and the main difference is there's some little ball bearings in here. And then, nestled in this red velvet case here, is the pen. And it is the Water Stripe. Now, a couple of weeks ago, I reviewed a couple of the versions of the standard Vanishing Point. So I'm not really going to go over a ton of the parts and the features of the Vanishing Point. If you want to know some generic information about the Vanishing Point, then you can check out that review on my channel. But for this review, what I wanted to do is kind of focus on what makes this particular pen special, and that's the finish, the Raiden finish. The pen here has a black barrel with multicolored abalone shells. So just trying to get the light to catch that just right. It has rhodium accents, and it has a matching rhodium plated 18K nib. This is a capless pen, so you extend it right there, and there is the nib. And this is what it looks like when extended, and then this is what it looks like when you take the nib out of the housing. And then this is what the solid feed looks like as well. You can see a little ink sheen on there. The pen does a really good job of displaying the beautiful abalone shells and the rich hand urushi lacquered finish. That each piece of abalone, as you can see here, is hand cut and laid into the pen. I mean, take a look at this picture. I really like that you can tell that these individual pieces match up and that they come from the same piece of material. And I like that attention to detail, and I feel that it creates an extra layer of life to this pen rather than just having a bunch of random pieces kind of thrown next to each other. The precision of how straight the mother of pearl is lined up is just amazing. I like that this finish is not too overdone as well. Too much of it might look a little bit gaudy, but this is just the right amount on this pen. Something else I really like about this pen is that it has a single thread here in the middle, so that when you take it apart to ink up the pen and you screw it back together again, everything will always line up. No matter what you do, everything will always line up when you put it back. So that's just a nice tip to that, or a nice feature of that. I showed the metal cartridge cap. There's a converter in here right now, but when using a proprietary cartridge, what you do is you place this metal sleeve over the cartridge, and so that's so that when you are operating the pen, there's no risk of the mechanism inside here actually puncturing the ink cartridge, and so that you put this little metal cap on top and it kind of nestles into here, and it protects the ink cartridge and just makes it a little bit easier to use. I've heard the material on this pen referred to both as abalone and as mother of pearl. And for the most part, the terms can be interchangeable. And most people don't really see a difference between the two. But there is a slight difference. Abalone actually refers to the actual animal and the actual mollusk and its shell, and more the outer shell. And the mother of pearl refers to the organism on the inside of the shell. Mother of pearl is a layer of lines inside the shell of mollusks, and it's called nacre or nacre, it can be pronounced either way. And here's a picture of the inside of an abalone shell, and you can really see the nacre, and that abalone and pearl oysters are known to be a really good source of mother of pearl. So technically, mother of pearl can come from either abalone or oysters or a number of other mollusks, but abalone is one of the most prevalent sources of it. This is the first vanishing point that I've used with the rhodium trim, and I was really afraid at first that it might be a little bit slick, especially since you have to have a bit of a unique grip when holding a vanishing point, but it's not slick at all, and I don't have an issue with it at all. Some folks really don't care for the clip placement, which is kind of in the middle of your grip. And I've seen that if you take this pen to someone, maybe not this one, but take one of the vanishing points to someone who really knows what they're doing, they can actually remove the clip in order to eliminate any grip discomfort. And it kind of gives the pen a sleeker look. The resulting look kind of makes it look like a bit like a jet fighter with a couple of air intakes in there. So it's an interesting look. Not sure if I would do it to any of mine, but it's an interesting look. There is a lot to like about this pen. If there's a downside, it has to be the cost. This pen retails in the United States for $640, but it is going for $359 on Ingika.com. And don't forget about the discount code FIGBOOT, where if you enter that in when you check out, you can get an additional 7% discount, which for this pen, it would be like another $25 off or so. And that code could actually be used for any products on their site, not just this pen. But even at this lower price, the pen is like 2.5 times more expensive than the standard vanishing points. But is it worth it? I think the pen is beautiful. I think it is very unique and actually very well made and very expertly crafted. At the $640 price point, I feel it's a bit too expensive. But at $359, I'm very tempted to not send this pen back and just purchase it myself. I better stop talking about buying it. I told myself I'd hold off buying any pens for a while and kind of save up for the DC show coming up here. So maybe I better not talk about buying this any longer, or else I'll just talk myself into it. But so now what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at some measurements and then some size comparisons. And then I'll show you what the difference between the Con 40 and the Con 50 converter is, and talk about a giveaway, and then have a writing sample. Here we go with some size comparisons for the Pilot Vanishing Point water stripe. To begin with, just going to show it in comparison to some other vanishing points I have. This is the black version, the matte black. Then we have a blue version, and then we have a gunmetal gray version. And they're all the same except for the materials. Now, I attend the Triangle Pen Club on a regular basis, and there is another member there by the name of David, and he has honestly one of the top 2 or 3 Vanishing Point collections in the entire world, and he's brought them in to let us look at them before, and they're truly amazing. And I do think that that's kind of a cool pen in order to focus on, and Dave just has an amazing collection. And in regard to some larger pens, here it is with a Classic Pens LB5, and then here it is with a Pelican 1000, and then a Lamy 2000. In regard to the converter, this is a Con 50 converter, kind of the older Pilot converter, and you can see it has a larger agitator in here, and that now they have the Con 40. And you can see rather than the large agitator, it has 3 little balls in here and a little basket on the bottom. And also the knob is clear. Now, some people have felt that the Con 40 has a lower ink capacity, which on these, the ink capacity isn't that great to begin with. And that I saw Brian Anderson do some comparison as far as the actual amount of ink, and the Con 40, it's literally about a drop. And so there's really not much difference in what each of these can hold. I wish they could hold a little bit more, but there's really not much difference. But it performs well, and the main difference is the difference in agitators. So here we go with the writing sample for the Pilot Vanishing Point. And we'll just call this the water stripe. This is a medium 18K nib. And the ink I'm using is Wancher Chocolate Brown. And Wancher is the house brand of Ingika.com, and this is what the chocolate brown looks like. It's kind of similar to the Iroshizuku, the Sakushi. Not quite sure if that's how you pronounce it or not, but I'm going with Shikuchi. Then this is what it looks like in comparison to like the Mont Blanc Toffee Brown. You can see it's much redder, or the Toffee Brown is much redder, and the chocolate brown is much more chocolate. This is what the 35 milliliter bottle looks like. It retails for $7.50 on their site. I'll put a link to the ink in the notes below the video. I like this ink. It's a bit on the wet side, but it behaves very well. And this bottle of ink, which I've just taken one draw out of for this writing sample, is what I'll be giving away. Today is Friday, July 1st. So all you need to do is just post a comment here on YouTube, and sometime after midnight Eastern on Wednesday, July 6th, 2016, I'll select a random comment and you can win this ink, and I'll send it out to you. So let's take a look at the rest of the writing sample to see how this pen and this ink perform. Whenever you have different versions of the same pen, a lot of times the nibs are going to be slightly different and have their own personality. The nib on this particular Vanishing Point is probably my favorite nib on any of the Vanishing Points that I've used. It's very soft. It doesn't quite feel as rigid as some of the other Vanishing Point nibs that I've used, and you can get a decent amount of line variation out of here, and that it's very, very smooth as well. In regard to wetness, you can see that this is a decently wet ink, and in regard to reverse writing, it's very scratchy. And then in regard to some fast writing, there's no issue at all. That I'd like to thank my friends at Ingika.com for providing this pen for review. And don't forget that if you visit their site, you can use the code FIGBOOT with a capital F, and that will get you an additional 7% off on your entire order. So there you have the Pilot Vanishing Point Water Stripe it's a very well-made pen and very unique, and something that I actually like very much. And who knows, this might not be going back to Japan. I might just have a conversation about keeping this pen, or at least purchasing it. So thank you for watching, and I'll talk to you later.